This is Asim Majid here. As I promised earlier, that I will be creating a video for question 2 to help you to complete your assignment. So I'm here now with that details. If you look at the screen, you can see that this is the data set we are going to work on. If you remember that in the previous videos, I have done some part of the question 1, which is a part 1 and part 2. So I'm utilizing the same data set, which for the anonymity purposes, I have amended some of the data. So my answers are going to be different to yours one. So nothing to worry about. But what one thing you need to remember is you're going to follow the same steps which I'm going to show you in this assignment in this video. So that will be very helpful for you guys. Again, to make it easy, what I have done is now, if you look at that, I have got the question 2 details. Again, this is just for the education purposes to show you that this is your question 2. And what we are going to look into this one now is we are going to have age group analysis. In the first section, there are 2 parts to this question. In the first part, we are going to identify the most popular fuel type for each age group. So 18 to 30, 31 to 50, and then we have to present the results in a table as well as graph and analyze whether these are significant preferences based on age. So this is your part 1, and then you have to have how does the household size correlate with vehicle use and ownership behaviors across age groups. So these are 2 parts of your question 2, which you're going to work on it. But remember, when we look at the data set here, we do not see any age groups here. So we have the column names as customer ID, age, city, purchase frequency, insurance cost, fuel type, gender, household size, income level, resale value, transmission, ownership status. And then we have maintenance plans, environmental impact score, and then financial methods and owner satisfaction score, etc. and etc. But there is no age group identification in here. So what we are going to do now is we are going to look into this, that how we can convert the data into the age groups. But looking at this, we can see in column B, we have an age here. So different customers have got different age. So somebody is 62, then 26, 24, 72, and that goes up to 501, cell number 501. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create the age range on the basis of this age. So the age range requirement for this question is 18 to 31, then 31 to 50, and then 51 plus. So to do that, we have to use a formula called if condition we have to use in here. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to create a bit of a space here. Remember, the age column is B, and then the first data starts from B2. If you remember, I always mention that you need to make sure that where the data is starting from, which is B2 in this case, and that go up to B501. So just to increase the size of the screen, so I know that what we're going to do now here is, so in column Q, R, S, wherever you feel like, you can actually create the age group here. Okay, so in terms of the age group, you create that one, and then you have to use the formula. Remember, one minor mistake will ruin the data and then your results as well. So you need to be very careful when you apply the if condition in here. So I'm going to write it here. Any formula in Excel need to be starting with equal sign. So you write equal, then you say if, and the time you write if, press tab, and then the bracket will start. Remember, the age is in B, column B, so you have to say if B2 is smaller than equal to 30. If the age is smaller than 30 or equal than 30, then that means that this age group is actually 18 to 31, 18 to 30, sorry, not 31. And then the quotation close. Remember, we are just trying to signify that if anyone in the age range is between 18 and 30, means less than 30, that will be classed as 18 to 30. Then the second thing is, again, if, and then you bracket start again, and then you say if B2 is less than equal to 50, that means we are going to say that this is from 31 to 50. So the quotation close, then we have a comma. Once you have the comma, then this is the else part of this if statement, which is called the conditional statement. If anyone is less than 30, that will be classed as 18 to 30. If anyone is less than 50 or equal to 50, that will be classed as 31 to 50. And anyone else in this age range, for instance, if you remember, the first person's age in the age column is 62. So anyone out of these two ranges will be classed as 51 plus, and then the quotation close, and then you have to have the two brackets close, and you press enter. Here we go. So if you remember, the first person is 62, so 62 is 51 plus, so that means this formula is working perfectly fine. So what I'm going to do next is, if you look at this dot here, in 51 plus cell, if you keep your mouse on it, it turns into black plus sign. So you double click onto this one, and then you can see that this formula is applied to rest of all the cells in this data set. So you can actually double check, you can scroll it down, and then you can see up to here, you got this data set there. Fantastic. So this is you have created by yourself. So to make it easier and to look good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click onto this one, and then I'm going to click on to all borders. So that will actually look like exactly the part of the rest of the table. Once you have done that, the next thing is we are going to create the pivot table again, because out of this question, if you look at the question, out of this, we only were missing this age group. So we have completed this age group now, and then we can talk about the fuel type and age group and all that. This is a bit of a tricky question. So what you need to do is you can actually click on any section of this data, and then you click on insert, and then you go into the pivot table. Sorry, insert pivot table. Remember is the first option, and then remember this is going to be new worksheet. Make sure it is clicked. Press OK, and then here we go. So you got this new pivot table. In this pivot table, the first thing is, if you go back to your question 2 detail, you can see it is asking you about the fuel type. So what you need to do now is you need to come back in here. So the first thing we are going to pick on is the fuel type. So you click on fuel type, it automatically appears in here, the multiple options available in there. Then you have to have the age group. Remember this age group. This age group is, you click, drag and drop in columns. Guys, please make sure that you don't repeat this mistake. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop the age group, which we have created just now, into the column section. And then you can see that we have 3 groups now, 18 to 30, 31 to 50, and 51 plus. So we have got 3 groups now, age groups. And then again, the same cell age group, we are going to drag and drop in values here as well. So you can see that now there is a clear distinction between different age groups and how many people are actually buying diesel, how many are buying electrical and hybrid and petrol. And you can see the different age groups. So 18 to 30, we can see that 16 people actually buying diesel from 18 to 30, and then 47 people are actually buying from 31 to 50. And then similarly, we have got 51 plus. But remember, this is based on the age group. So the next thing we can do is we can actually draw the graph on that. But what you need to make sure is you actually change the titles, like row labels. You can make it the fuel used, whatever you want to give a name, fuel used or fuel type, whatever you feel like, and then 18 to 30, 31 to 50, and then you have 51 plus, and then you have the grand total in here. So you can see that 500 is the final answer of all these calculations here. So what we can do is we can actually click on any side, and then you have to insert, and then you click on pivot chart, and then you can click onto this one, and then there we go. So you have this one, which is going to tell you about different cities, not different cities, it's about different fuel types and by the age group. So you can easily tell that which age group. For instance, if you look at this data set, this graph, you can tell that 18 to 30, which is electrical, in electrical, most of 18 to 30 are using electricals. So again, just like all of the questions, I want an explanation. You highlight, and then you have to have the merge, and then you have to give the explanation of this. answer. So you have to explain this. Okay, brilliant. So again, this is your question 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the name of this, which is here is question 2 and then part 1. Okay, brilliant. So this is your question 1 part 2. Then the next thing is your question 2 part 2. So what I'm going to do now is let me see the detail. The second detail is how does the household size correlate with vehicle usage and ownership behaviors across age groups? So household and age groups and the usage. So these are the few things which we need to look into this side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going back into my data, and then I'm going to create another pivot table. And then from this pivot table, make sure that it's a new worksheet, press OK. And then here, I need to be very careful what I pick on. So we have to have this age. I'm going to click on age. Sorry, my mistake. It shouldn't be in here. I'm going to remove this. So I click and drag into the rows in here. So which is the age. Right. So I think I just need to lock this one. So I go back into the values in here. Now I think there is a problem with that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. So I think it is interlinked. So let me delete that one in here. Let me come back. This is again the data. And then I'm going to have this another insert pivot table from this one. And then you have this data set. And then you have this age. Oh, it's coming back in here. Okay, so it is not using the pivot table. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have this household size. Let's move on to the household size, which is going to be the values household size. Here we go. And then we have to have the household size for the columns as well. And then you have to have the age as well into the rows. So this is one of the tables being created for which is telling us about the different age groups, different ages, and then how the household size are using the values and the purchases as well. So once you get to that stage, what you need to do is you need to look into this, give an explanation, and probably you can see that how you can explain that. And to do this, what you need to do is you need to have, again, the cells, and then you have to have this data set, and then you have to give the explanation of this one. Explain this answer. Okay, I hope this is going to be very helpful for you to create your second part of the question 2. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have this question 2 part 2, and I'm going to make the name changes here. So this is how you are going to do your question 1 part 1, question 1 part 2, question 2 part 1, and question 2 part 2. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back with question 3 as well. And then if you would have any question, please ask me and bring those questions for me during the seminar sessions. So thank you very much, and I will see you during the seminars.